It seems like it was ages ago when Layer 7 dropped for Ultra Kill, and we haven't gotten an update in a while now, so I think it's about time we start talking about Layer 8, Fraud. As you probably already know, Ultra Kill's layers draw inspiration from the Circles of Hell in Dante's Inferno, so the nature of Fraud within the poem is a good indicator of what Layer 8 will be like. Fraud in Dante's Inferno consists of 10 concentric trenches, each punishing different forms of deceitful behavior. Souls are set to endure excruciatingly painful torment and suffering. The layer could contain a couple of trenches per level, in which the different punishments are explored. It's similar to how Layer 7 represented the violence layer of Dante's Inferno, through 7-3's Suicide Forests, and the Minotaur making an appearance in 7-1. But let's forget about the Dante's Inferno side of things. What about the Ultra Kill side of things? What would the climax level contain? What weapons or abilities would be acquired in the new layer? What new enemies would be introduced? Well, I have a pretty good idea of what Layer 8 will contain. First of all, the final boss of Ultra Kill is probably going to be Satan, as he resides in the deepest layer of Dante's Inferno, Treachery, which means that the last fight with Gabriel is going to have to fit in somewhere that isn't Layer 9. Therefore, Gabriel's probably going to be the boss that resides in the climax level of Fraud. And I also think that Gabriel's going to be the one to give you the yellow arm. I mean, look at him. His arms are literally yellow, and where the hell else would you get the yellow arm from? The yellow arm is going to have to be received before Layer 9, because you can't just give the player a new weapon and have no future levels to use that weapon in. Plus, Fraud is the only layer in between Violence and Treachery, so it would make sense for the arm to be there. Oh, and yes, I also think the yellow arm is going to be one of Gabriel's swords. As for new enemies, Layer 8 could introduce new game mechanics centered around deceiving the player, as the word fraud literally means trying to deceive someone. Players could encounter enemies that use illusions to confuse or disorient them, and rely on their spatial awareness and reflexes to kill the enemy. I mean, there's already a custom enemy called a Revenant in Ultra Kill, which does a similar thing to what I just said. The enemy will cause the screen to fill with static whenever you come close to it. If Hakita could make an enemy which uses more in-depth illusions, well, 1, it'd probably become the most hated Ultra Kill enemy, but 2, it would add a new layer of depth to the combat micromanagement, which I think would be a really cool addition to the game. If we look at the Dante's Inferno poem, the poem explains how sorcerers who attempted to pervert God's laws are punished in the Malbolge, the concentric trenches. These sorcerers' heads have been twisted around to face backwards and are forced to walk backwards around the circumference of their circle for all eternity. I think the sorcerers would be able to act as a sort of revenant, or an enemy that uses illusions to confuse the player. Also, the lower edge of the Malbolge is guarded by a ring of titans and earth giants. Many of them are chained in place as punishment for their rebellion against God. But imagine how cool it would be to fight titans and earth giants in Ultra Kill. Anyway, what about the layer's design in general? Usually each Ultra Kill layer can be represented by a single color. The Prelude would be represented by brown, Limbo by green, Lost by purple, and so on. Now, there's only a small selection of colors remaining that would make Fraud unique, consisting of really only black and yellow/gold. Now, we've already seen the black and gold coloring in a fan-made custom level called Fraud, Fool's Gold. Really cool level, by the way, you should check it out. And most other custom levels that share the name Fraud also have this kind of coloring. So it would make sense for the official layer to be black and gold. Enough about color. We all know that Hakita likes to add his video gamey spin to each layer. So what exactly would that be for Fraud? He's already done water levels, a desert, virtual reality, literal hell. What else could he possibly do to make the Fraud layer unique? Non-Euclidean spaces. Non-Euclidean spaces break the rules of traditional planar geometry, allowing for weird and wacky things to occur, and also allowing for things you wouldn't expect to be possible in a 3D environment. You might be extremely confused why I'm bringing this up in a video about Ultra Kill, but it's simply because in the developer livestream Hakita did not long ago, he says this.
And I had a bunch of ideas of like what I would do for like non-Euclidean space and stuff, but then I was like, actually I probably shouldn't do that yet. I should maybe consider leaving that for later.
Once again, if we look into the meaning of fraud, it essentially just means trying to deceive someone. And you know what's really good at deceiving, confusing, or tricking someone's mind? Non-Euclidean space. In a game featuring non-Euclidean spaces, the rules of geometry are twisted and distorted. As you navigate the game, you might find yourself in areas where the normal rules of space no longer apply. For example, walking through a doorway might lead you to a room that seems much larger or smaller on the inside than it appeared from the outside. Or, paths might loop back on themselves unexpectedly. It could work to deceive a player through something like this. Perhaps instead of the random objects, one of these 3 rooms could have a skull required to progress throughout the level. Implementing this kind of thing into Ultrakill would challenge players to think in new ways and explore the boundaries of what is possible within the game. Like, imagine trying to hit an enemy when the level looks like this. Yikes. The two concepts, deception and non-Euclidean space, work hand in hand, which is why I think Hakita is going to experiment with this concept in the new layer. But if I'm being completely honest, I think Hakita would only really do this for a small section in a single level, to avoid making players feel like they're gonna throw up every 2 seconds. Maybe he could use a secret level or something to vent his experimentation with the concept. I got a bit carried away with talking about non-Euclidean space there, but it's something really cool and something I'd love to see in Ultrakill. But yeah, that's all of my Layer 8 predictions. Hopefully I'm somewhat accurate when it comes out. Bonus round. I also want to quickly talk about 7-S. Like, what the hell is it even gonna be? I mean, each secret level connects to the ideas shown throughout its layer. For example, the Lost layer has a dating sim as a secret level, and the Greed layer has a level where you collect a bunch of coins in boxes, because you are so greedy. So maybe Violence's secret level is gonna be an Ultrakill fighter game? Like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. Honestly, that would be really cool. Imagine you could choose between each enemy and they all have different movesets. That would be actually so cool. But that might be a bit too ambitious considering the amount of enemy types in the game. Maybe it's going to be something more related to war, like Ultrakill's version of Minesweeper or something. But yeah. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so I can beat Hakita in subs, and I'll see you later.